Hello, my name's Mick Price. I'm a consultant for DNA Baits. Can you join us here today on part 2 of my day ticket series? And we've just landed at Kew Lake, Poolbridge Farm, in the beautiful North Yorkshire countryside. And this is definitely my favourite part of the session, just arriving at the venue. Right, I've grabbed a couple of buckets out of the car. I'm going to have a walk around, have a look around some swims. What I will say about this lake, it's very, very unique. It's actually fishing from an island. There's 13 swims all the way around the island, and each peg has its own individual water. It's called the Kew Lake because from above, with the lake being an island, we've got this bridge going over this narrow passageway, and it actually looks like a letter Q from above. So we'll have a walk around now, choose a swim. Like I say, I don't know the venue really well, but I've had a little word with the owner and I've done a bit of homework. And I know that the right hand side of the lake is actually a little bit deeper, so that's the area I'm going to look to head for first. And I know there's been 1 or 2 fish coming out of that particular swim, or those particular couple of swims over the last couple of weeks. So it's an obvious place to start. So I'll go and have a look around and see if anything's showing, anything's fizzing up, and see if there's any signs of fish. So we've arrived at the first swim here, just as you come over the bridge on the right hand side of the lake. It looks really nice in here. It's on the back of the wind, it's nice and sheltered, it feels quite mild back here. But I do know that there has been quite a few fish coming out round the other corner on the end of the wind, so I am going to have a good walk around first and have a look down that end of the lake. So let's pop round a few swims and start looking where we're going to drop in. Right, so I've arrived at this one. It's peg 8, or peg 8 and 7 and 8, but like you say, there's nobody on the venue, so you know I can spread my rods out in this swim. I've got a lovely bay out in front of me. And before I come down, I actually had a look on the forum, and there's a picture of the lake drain from when it was dug a few years back, which was just, you know, a real bonus, and it ends up before you start. The light's fading, it's around about 2 o'clock now. I didn't get down till 1 o'clock because I was at work this morning, you know, juggling work around fishing and around your family life, you know what it's like, but do everything you possibly can to get those rod hours in. If it's a quick night after work, that's what you have to do, I'm going to start off my left-hand rod on a little pink pearl wafter. You know, these have stood me really good stead in the past when I've gone onto new lakes where, you know, I've never fished before. I always tend to start off with the little pinks and the little whites, and they've done me quite a few fish. I'm going to start off just fishing with little bags, 1 bite at a time, and hopefully, like I said earlier, start picking up 1 or 2 liners. If I'm not getting bites on them, you know, I'll tend to chop and change my colours, switch from pot-ups to bottom baits to wafters, and so on until eventually, hopefully, I'm going to pick a fish up. So inside my little meshie on this one, I've gone for some S7 stick mix and a few matching pellets. So hopefully some different releases there. So I'll just hook this straight on and put it out in the chosen area, and hopefully that's going to be enough to just get that 1 bite, home the fish in. On my first one, the left-hand rod, I'm just going to put it out onto the end of the wind. Like you say, this wind's supposed to pick up tonight, so if the fish do tend to follow the wind from what the owner was saying, so hopefully they are going to be on that far bank into that bay. So I'm just going to put this one, flick it out, stop it there. So my left hand rod's out on a pink wafter. I'm going to maximise my chances of a bite. I know those pinks work on here. I know a few lads who fished it quite regular, and most of the fish they get do come to the little pinks. So I am going to put pink on all 3 rods just to start with. If it doesn't happen and I feel like I should have had a bite, I might switch colours or turn onto a bottom bait or something like that. But I am going to start on all pinks. I have got a wafter on that first rod I put out, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I know it's the same colour, but I'm going to try a little small 10mm pop-up. These again have caught me loads of fish, just on their own as singles, or you know, tipping off as a snowman. Absolutely ideal and great for a bite. So I've actually got some krilled maggots, what I've actually froze before I come down, a little bit of sprinkle of the krill powder in there. They absolutely stink, and these have got me loads of fish in the past when trying, especially when fishing for 1 bite at a time. You tell me a carp that won't eat that. Absolutely beautiful. The quicker we get these out, the more chance we've got of a bite. So I'm just sort of spreading my rods around the area at the moment. That's a bit deeper where that landed. The first one I put out. Definitely looks like it's going to rain. Rain again anyway. It's never stopped for 3-4 days in this area. Like I said, I don't know whether that's going to make a difference or not, but it's just so mild for this time of year, it's ridiculous. Surely them fish are going to be moving about. I know, speaking to the owner this morning, he was saying that when he's been travelling around doing his bits and bobs in the morning. He has seen the odd fish showing all around the lake really, so that's a good sign. Like I said, I'm going to go with the pink on this one again, but this time, you know, I've done something a little bit different on each rod. Rather than using a whole wafter, I'm going to chop this one down in half, something a little bit different, you know, a bit more leakage out into the water. Maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't, but I have caught quite a few fish this winter doing it, so I'm going to give it a go on here. Pink on all rods, but something different with each one. So there we are, another little bag of krill maggots. Absolutely perfect. You know, believe it or not, those little changes, something as daft like just chopping that wafter down in half, it can sometimes make a massive difference. It certainly has for me. I've fished a spot for sort of a few hours, trimmed my bait down a little bit, flicked it out, 10 minutes later it's gone. Is it a coincidence? I don't know, but it certainly seems to be working, so I'm going to flick this one out towards that little point. You know, people ask me why I do this, you know, my non-fishing friends as well as my fishing friends, and you know, this is the reason why. You've got the clouds behind you, the sun just going down. This time of night, you just can't beat it. You've got barn owls flying around you. We've seen a kestrel on camera about 10 minutes ago. It's awesome, you know. Cup of tea, rods are out, feet up for the night. Just can't beat it. Special time, absolutely awesome. Right, it's first light, or an hour after first light. Last night, nothing. Few liners, probably 3 or 4 good liners. I'm not sure whether it was a fish actually trailing line or not. Where I did retrieve the rods back, you know, 10 yards again. I was casting at like 2, 3 in the morning, but still nothing. The conditions, like I say, are absolutely perfect. I can't believe how good it is for this time of year. The wind's so mild, you know. I was even sleeping on top of my sleeping bag at one point last night, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's January, for God's sake.
Environment Agency Officer, can I have a look at your EA licence, please?
Yeah, alright, mate.
Yeah, alright. Morning, it's Paul, Environment Agency.
There you go, mate.
Can I have a look at your EAs, please?
Cheers, pal. Cheers, mate. It's always really important to have your rod licences with you. I mean, it frightens you to death when he comes down there. I mean, you feel like the police are after you or something. But make sure you have them on you all the time. You know, even if you haven't got them on you, they can call them in, but it's always easier just make sure you've got them in your bag. It's just not worth it these days for the price of what 2 rod licences is. You know, hopefully, and I've heard rumours that they are looking at a new carp licence for us carp anglers, so we'll see what happens, and that's probably going to happen in the next 12 months according to forums and a few Environment Agency posts, so watch this space. But always make sure you've got them both with you. There's quite a few people on now. It's like Bivvy City. I mean, yesterday, like I said, we haven't closed the lake off. We had the full lake to ourselves, but the sort of three, 4 anglers turned up this morning, so that could make a difference in the way these fish are behaving. You know, 1 or 2 liners last night. You know, if there was fish around the other side, I'm hoping that the couple of anglers that have set up around that side are going to push fish round. Only time will tell, but it's absolutely perfect conditions today. The wind's so mild, it's blob. Hopefully, there's going to be a fish out today. Well, Mike's just popped round to get the day ticket money off the lads. So I've dragged him in, asked him a few questions about the lake. So then, Mike, can you tell us a little bit about the venue? When did it all start?
It started in 1952.
Right.
My old man built a lake, what was the old course lake, as a duck flighting pond, and things went well. People wanted to come and fish it. In the mid-80s, we joined them together. Early 90s, we built what was called the old carp lake, which was a really small water. Built Normans and Horseshoe in 94, and that stayed as it was for a few years. Me and my brothers, we bought the place in 2007,
Right.
and we set about designing a specimen lake. And in 2009, we opened this place.
Right.
So
Were you a fisherman before you got the venue, or?
I fished as a kid,
Right.
a lot. I maybe should have gone to school,
Yeah.
but fishing was more interesting. And I fished all the way until I joined the forces.
Yeah.
And then I came back off leave and someone had nicked my tackle.
Right.
And I've barely put a rod in the water since.
So why did you want a lake then? Why did you go down that route to start a fishery?
Lakes, I've always wanted, when I was a kid, me and my mate that I used to go fishing with, we always wanted to design a lake. And when I came up with the concept that we're going to build a specimen lake, I went to the local fishing managers' colleges, spoke to all the forums and said, look, if you had a 12-acre field, what would you do with it?
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the forums.
Yeah, and I got so much drivel from carp anglers.
Yeah.
Build 100-acre lake, put 2 fish in it, don't let anybody fish it. You know, I just got nonsense.
Yeah.
And in the end, this is what we came up with.
Yeah.
And it's we haven't had a bad thing said about it yet.
So obviously he isn't 2 fish in it. What's the stock you've got now and the strain of fish? And
we've got just shy of 300 fish in it.
Right.
We've got VS fish, arguably, in my opinion, the best strain of fish you can get.
Yeah.
We were after something that looks good, grows at a decent rate, but in the end of the day, the healthy fish that have longevity, that live a long time.
Nice scaly ones as well.
Yeah, there's some really good fish.
Yeah.
The
Don't all look the same. And
that's what you want. I mean, what we're about here, we're about the wildlife. We're about fish health.
I've noticed the wildlife.
The wildlife is phenomenal. What we did, we turned the farm into what is essentially a small nature park.
Yeah.
We've got kestrels, buzzards, little owls, short-eared owls, tawny owls, barn owls. You've got all sorts. We've had the osprey visiting every year since we opened.
Well, absolutely really enjoying the session so far, Mike. Nothing's happened yet, but
That's just
right on that one then. We'll get the rods back out and see what happens. I'm going to try some different colours. I'm also going to put a little maggot rod out and see if we can pick one up over the course of this afternoon over that far margin. So we'll have a go, see what happens over that side. Well, here we go again. I mean, it's just absolutely doing my head in at the moment. It's got to happen. Look at these conditions. They're just unbelievable. Deeper down there. I've just got a feeling these fish are definitely on the end of that wind on that margin now. Like you see, I've had no liners this morning whatsoever. The last liner was sort of 2 o'clock in the morning and I retrieved them back. They've just got removed over on that wind. We'll soon find out. Middle rod then. Exactly the same setup as I was using last night. The only different thing is, as you'll see, I've got a little yellow 10mm pot up on this time. You know, maybe that's going to be the key, little colour change. It's worked before, you know, to the point where I've cast out on exactly the same spot and received a bite sort of 5-10 minutes later, just with a little colour change. I'm going to do the same thing as what I did on the other rod. And I'm going to add a little bag of the krill maggots and little bits of sweet corn in there. You know, same sort of colour as what my hook bait is. Just hook that on. She's ready to go out. Let's get this out on the spot. Feels like Judgment Day at the minute. Absolute nightmare. It's like my last chance. Right then, right hand rod. This is where I've done a bit of a big tactical change, I feel. Gone over to a maggot clip, big bunch of maggots on there, a couple of rubber ones as well, just to balance it out a little bit. Again, just attaching that PVA bag full of maggots and krill and a little bit of sweet corn in there. You know, I feel like this is the rod that's going to go over the next few hours, if any is going to go. You know, I've changed the maggots on so many occasions and it's just got me a bite really quickly. Only time will tell though, so we'll get it back out on the spot. Again, on the end of that wind on that far margin where I've got a feeling the fish are going to be, and we'll see if that's going to make the difference. You know, speaking of pressure, it's not just the air pressure, it's the pressure of the camera being down today, and you know, I feel like I have to put a fish on the bank for the camera. Right hand rod's gone there, absolutely ripped off. And my little bag of krill maggots. Keep a steady pressure on it. Yeah, it just goes to show, you know, there's quite a few on now, a few other anglers on. I've just kept that disturbance down. I did see a fish show over there about 10 minutes ago. And I was actually thinking about repositioning this rod closer to it, but I'm glad I never now. Just come round here for my net. There's a little weed bed down here I'm going to need to be careful of. Looks like a nice little mirror. You wait all day for that bite and chance to play the fish, and then all you want to do is just get it in the net. Fight well. She's getting ready for the net now. Got a bit of air in the lungs. Here she comes. Yep, it's a little mirror. Get in there. Get in there. Pretty made up with that one. So you can see there, the hook hole there is absolutely spot on, nailed in the bottom lip. You know, I feel that those couple of buoyant maggots that I hooked on earlier, they're making the difference when the fish are sucking and blowing, just helping that hook bait fly into the mouth nice and easily. You know, this fish certainly wasn't getting away from that. Absolutely perfect. That's just over £18. Show you. Flip around. Well, there we are. It doesn't get any better than this. Rainbow in the background. 18.5 of one of those VS fish what Mike told us about earlier. Stunning, stunning fish. Felt that krill maggot approach. That tactical change. Yep, still a bit lively. Just makes it all worthwhile. Absolutely fantastic. I'm made up with this one. Let's put it back. Absolutely made up with this one. I've had a graph for it, but it's been worth it in the end. And the conditions are just getting better and better all the time. I'm feeling really, really confident of another fish. Looks absolutely perfect now. First one, get in there. Right, so this right hand rod, it's been out there for around about 4 hours on the krill maggot. Hasn't done nothing, so what I'm going to do now is just put a little white wafter on for the night, trim down, hook this little bag on and see if that can buy me a bite. Good morning. As you can see, the weather's really changed from last night. The winds have really picked up. We've had a lot of rain, but I did manage a fish about an hour before first light, but unfortunately we weren't able to film it. Obviously due to the weather and the rain and getting the cameras out, they just don't go together. So I slipped it in the sack so I can show you all this morning. Lovely mid-double common, which I took on the right hand rod on the little trim down wafter what you see me put out last night just before dark. Little bag of krill maggots on there with a few S7 pellets and a bit of stick mix doing the job. So let's get the fish out and have a look. Well, how about that one? This one went off about 7 o'clock this morning, just as it was just getting light. Right hand rod, a little trim down white wafter, what I showed you last night, just on dark. Again, a little change of tactic, you know, it was only a little colour change, but sometimes that's all it's needed. Still a bit lively from being retained. But yeah, it just goes to show, don't sit on your hands, try a little different bits and bobs, and you might get yourself a lovely little fish like this in the winter. Absolutely made up with that one. Well, let's slip number 2 back. She's getting ready to go. Off she goes. The weather's been absolutely spot on. You know, normally a really prolific water, but it hasn't fished at all. You know, there's sort of 20 rods out yesterday and there's only been these 2 bites, so, you know, I've got to be happy with that one. And I'm still feeling really confident this morning. As you can see, that wind, it's really picked up since yesterday, and again, it's threatening to rain. Absolutely perfect conditions for this time of year. Right, so we've got a bit of a new thing going at the minute. What we're doing during the winter series is we're going to let you guys ask us a few questions, a few in-session questions while I'm out on the bank, you know, and I can answer them to the best of my ability, you know, true as I possibly can. All you've got to do is go to the DNA Facebook page where you can post your questions on there, and the lads back at DNA will put them through to us on the bank, and we can pick the best of 3, you know, and you've got the chance to win whatever prizes on offer that week. You know, it could be 5 kilo boilie, pellets, pop-ups, anything. So any questions you want to put to us while I'm out fishing, you know, make sure we get them on there and I'll do the best I can to answer them. Right, so here we go then, first question, and it was Ricky Biles. It says, "Hi Mick, with all the bait at your disposal, which additives or dips would you say help your catch rate throughout the winter?" Well Ricky, you've seen in the video what I've been doing here. There's only one dip that I use mainly, and my favourite one by a mile, it's got to be the krill. I use in absolutely everything I do, you know, whether it's my big fish fishing or whether it's in the winter where I'm trying to get 1 bite at a time. Adding this into your bag mixes or your pellets or soaking your boilies in it weeks before you go out fishing, I know 100% that this krill has made a massive difference to my fishing. Right then, the next random winner was Michael Jones, and he said, "Hi, where I fish there's a lot of bream and I can only catch them when I'm going for the carp and I'm stuck." What I would say to that, first of all, Michael, is you're obviously doing something right. You know, your baits are presented right, the fish are coming in, it might be the bream and you're picking them up, but you're obviously targeting the right areas, and it is a good sign sometimes to be getting the bream, and carp normally follow in afterwards, or they'll certainly be about in the area. What I would suggest is you sort of up your size of your baits, you know, to try and get rid of those bream. Start using a bit bigger baits such as 18mm bottom baits, or, you know, get rid of all the little pellets and particles if you're putting any of that in. Also, solid bags, if you're using anything like solid bags, I tend to find that they pick bream up a lot. So just try using stringers and just a full-scale boilie approach for your next session and see if that helps. All right, then the next random question, we've got Ollie Donaldson, and he says, "Hi Mick, magazine articles always seem to talk about presenting a bait over a clear patch in weed. My question is, wouldn't the carp be more inclined to feed in the weed, and a bait correctly presented in the green stuff leads to more bites?" Ollie, what I'd say to that, mate, is you're definitely 100% right. You know, where the clear patches are in the weed, what is it? You know, it's a spot. When I've looked on JB's underwater filming, you see the fish come in, and these sort of areas are completely devoid of any natural food. They've already been cleaned out, and as we know, fish love natural food and they absolutely love weed. So if you can come up with something like a long shod or a solid bag presented in the weed, it's definitely going to get you more bites. You know, you see it so many times. You'll be out on the bank, you see a young kid come down, or someone that's, you know, a little bit inexperienced and they're not feeling for hard drops. Just chuck a lead out anywhere, and 9 times out of 10 they're casting straight into the weed and they bag themselves a fish. So definitely, mate, get the rods out in that weed. Right then guys, thanks very much for your questions, absolutely fantastic. You know, we were only going to do the one, but we picked 3 questions randomly out of the hat. They're all as good as each other, but the lads at the DNA factory have just picked them out and sent them through to us, so there's the ones that I've answered. You know, it doesn't mean if you never got through this week, you won't get through next time. So make sure that you send us a few questions next time out in the bank, because I've really enjoyed flicking through them all. Yes, you know, so even that £1 fish question was a really good one. The British record, I'm sure you've all seen that video where John absolutely ripped me, but it was a good one and I'll let him off for that one. Well, that's the end of the session. It's been really challenging. You know, we've had perfect conditions, the wind, the mild temperatures, everything's just been in our favour, but it's been so hard. You know, I've had to really graft for them couple of bites. There's been a lot of lads on fishing last night, you know, we've had a good social, but only those 2 fish have been out. So it just goes to show, you know, busy day ticket lakes, you can't just sit on your hands, shot your rods out anywhere and expect to catch fish. Especially this time of year, you've got to, you know, try the best and chop and change things, change tactics, do whatever it takes to put one of those special fish on the bank. The venue itself's been absolutely awesome. I'll definitely be coming back here. Mike, the owner, he's been cracking, you know, even brought us down a quick drink last night. And one of the things I've really enjoyed about the session was the questions you guys were firing at me. Really enjoyed going through them on the phone this morning. And with regards to the next session, I don't know where we're going to be. The DNA lads haven't told us yet, but hopefully you guys will join us. So until then, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.